दिशन्तु मे देवा
दिशन्तु मे देवा
सदा त्वदीयाः दयातरङ्गानु चराः कटाक्षाः श्रोत्रेषु पुंसाम् अमृतं क्षरन्तीम् सरस्वतीं संश्रितकामधेनुम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Welcome back everyone. So today we are going to focus mostly on field. A lot of you know the meaning of field, right? What is a field? There is a soccer field, but what does it ring in your head when I say field?
Basically, a field is like the field of action.
But if when I say field, it's like where you do the cultivation, right? So
yes,
farming
exactly.
field, a field of cultivation. Come a little forward. I want to see you guys a little bit. Yeah.
If you planted good seeds, you get good crops. If you planted bad seeds, you get bad crops. Seeds are basically, and it's karma and the karma phala respectively.
Okay. So we'll come to that. So when a field is not cultivated, what happens?
Karma kshetra.
Yeah.
Actually, field is a karma kshetra.
You can think of it karma kshetra. There is a dharma kshetra also. So when you don't cultivate the field, just leave it. What happens? Have you seen any fields in California that are not touched?
Weeds come up.
Weeds, lots and lots of weeds, all kind of thorns, all kinds of trees, everything will come up. So when you actually cultivate the field, what do? You basically remove the bad plants, the weeds, and you plant it with good plants. For example, if you have a nice lawn and you don't take care of the lawn, you just leave it, what happens? All the weeds, all the thorny plants, all kind of things grow. So when you have to cultivate the field, what do? When you have to clean up the lawn, what is the first thing?
You remove all the weeds.
You remove the weeds, but weeds keep on coming.
So you have to put like weed removal.
Yeah, weed remover, you clean up, but still weeds keep coming.
So more plants.
So more good plants. So we talked about this before. We talked about sow the seeds, sow the good things until you choke out the weeds. Sow the seeds until you choke out the weeds. So this is one particular strategy used in cultivation. But we have lots of fields. In the stories that we went through, we come across fields and cultivation. Can you recall any stories where field was mentioned or cultivation was mentioned? You remember any stories?
Story of the Rishi and his 3 disciples, and the first one, because the water was leaking through the...
That story I didn't tell here.
Okay.
But some of the...
Sita.
Yeah, you were plowing the field, then Sita came up. Yeah?
The story of Sage Brigu, that he had to weed out his brain and keep diving deeper and keep cultivating it.
Keep cultivating it. Yeah, we talked about field there. And where else?
Prudhu Chakravarti also.
Prudhu Chakravarti story, we didn't really come to that story. Did we talk about that story in our satsangs? Probably not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come to Prudhu's story later. We also talked about Varaha lifting the earth up and then readying it for cultivation for Manu. So what is this field? Why are they talking about field? And Krishna mentioned a story. So I'll tell you that story. So there was a guru, a teacher in an old Gurukul system. And Guru has a big land, a chunk of land where he does cultivation, he grows paddy and things like that. And they are called Kedara. Remember the word Kedara. Kedara means a paddy field. You can think of it as a paddy field or a farming field. It's also called Kedara. Does it ring any bells, the word Kedara?
Kedarnath.
Kedarnath. Huh? Yeah?
There's a ragam, it's called Kedaram.
What is called?
Ragam.
Kedar.
Music.
There is
Yeah.
a ragam called Kedaram. Yes. And in Puranas there is something called Kedara Khandam. Where is Kedara Khandam?
North.
Kedara Khandam, this comes in Skanda Purana. Anyway, the Kedara word is a very important word. So it is indicating a field that has to be cultivated. Okay? So the Guru has a Kedara, a field. So in that field, there is always, you have to make sure that water is going into the field. Otherwise, the crop will dry out. So you have to make sure that the water goes in. And you have to hold the water. For paddy fields, I don't know if you ever saw paddy fields. In India, you can see paddy fields, rice fields. There are paddy fields in California also. They require lots of water. So initially, you just over-irrigate it. You flood the entire field, and there is so few inches of water stagnant. And that's how the paddy field develops. Initially, it requires lots of water. But if the water is leaking, then you will not be able to cultivate properly. So he told one of his students named Uttanka. So he told the student to go and make sure that the water is not leaking out of the field. So he went there and the water is leaking out of the field. So he tried to plug it. He tried to plug the channel from where water is leaking and it was not going. Then finally he threw his body into that little hole and was holding the water, and he was like that all night. The next day the teacher went out because he couldn't find the student. He went out searching. Uttanka, Uttanka, he was shouting. Then he kind of he heard some sound there. So he went there and finally found his student laying down, stopping the water, going away from the field. Then the Guru was so pleased and said, you put yourself to protect the field, so I will bless you with everything that I have. I will make you as knowledgeable as I am. So this is the very first story of Mahabharata. So what does this story tell? The story is telling a very important factor for everybody, for every student. So the field is basically our mind, our body, our instruments, and the entire field with which we are acting with these instruments is the field. So what is the field? The body is the field, but the action field of the body is also field. The instruments are acting onto the field, so that is also field. The mind is acting on something, that is also our field. So for example, if you are using your mind to think about a project, that entire project is within your field. You are playing sports with your hands, legs, and all your instruments. That entire sport is part of your field. So like that they said karma kshetra, somebody said dharma kshetra. So that is the actual field. And what cultivates things in that field is your vital energy. Your vital energy is sometimes called prana shakti. Your intelligence is part of that. Your ability to act tirelessly is part of that. Everything that you do requires energy, and that energy is the water there. So you have to protect that vital energy. Vital energy is always leaking through one or the other holes. So how can vital energy leak? Let us say you have a lot of vital energy. That means you woke up in the morning, now you have a lot of strength, you are in good mood to do good work. If you eat heavily sugary foods, what happens? Your vital energy drained out, you will feel sleepy. If you watch lots of TV, what happens? Your vital energy is drained out. So vital energy has to be protected. Can you think of any other things where vital energy is drained away?
Arguing about something.
Arguing about something, negative mood, or arguing, going with a bad mood. Negative mood is the biggest drainer. Yeah?
Hyper stress.
Stress. If you don't manage stress properly, then your energy, vital energy will flow away.
Too many friends and gossip.
Unnecessary activity, where we spend a lot of energy in unnecessary activity.
Laziness.
Laziness also will drain out. We can eat a lot, but if you are sitting in the sofa like a couch potato,
Lot of sleep.
excessive sleep will make you very tired.
Excessive food.
Excessive food, yeah. So basically, how do you plug all these holes? So Uttanka showed the story. In the story, what did he show? He put himself. That means you have to invest yourself basically in plugging all the vital energy drains, vital energy leakages. And then you protect the Kedara. And then you will be able to do great task. Okay? So maintaining good food, good health, good habits, positive mood. Most important thing is positive mood. The most powerful weapon we have against all our enemies is positive mood. We should be able to put aside the negativity as soon as possible. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes it kind of overpowers. Sometimes it grips us. But you should be able to get rid of it as quickly as possible. Some people will not be able to. So some people will have problems with their perception of the world. The perception of the world and the perception of yourself in the world, the perception of your purpose in the world. These are the three things that are heavily dependent on our inner nature. Some people cannot give up fear. Some people cannot give up ignorance. They stick to ignorance. If there is an opportunity to learn something, they are not willing to give it up at all. They want to hold on to ignorance. They think ignorance is bliss. The moment you charge giving them with knowledge, immediately they become very lazy and they will shift away. So this is called tamasic dhruti. So they are all called tamasic dharana. Because of that, they will not be able to give up fear. They will not be able to give up negative moods. They will not be able to give up ignorance. They will not be able to give up passion. So, and sometimes those are the fields that require a lot of cultivation. Okay? So when we do not cultivate properly, the owner of the field suffers, right? If you have any field, if they are leaving a part uncultivated, so they have say 10-acre land and they are doing agriculture here, but they have left 1-acre land without cultivation. All the weeds, all the bad things will creep up. They will create problem. It will attract pests. The pests will come and damage all this. All that stuff happens, right? So therefore, cultivation of the field is very important. So cultivation field is also called Kedaram. Another word for field, anybody remember? Kshetram. Kshetram, Kedaram. Right? So remember those words. And how do you conserve your vital energy from draining? What is the first and foremost enemy?
Body invest.
Yeah, you have to invest in the body, exercise, diet and all that. But what is the foremost enemy for draining?
Negative mood.
Negative mood, negativity. Negative mood will breed all kinds of vital energy losses. And there will be swings. There will be swings of high action and there will be dullness and desperate, depression, etc. All these things back and forth will happen. So I'll tell another story. You might have heard this story elsewhere, but the story goes in different ways. Sometimes the story's facts are changed. Okay, there was a sage named Gautama. Okay, and Gautama's wife Ahalya, right? Ahalya, she had a crush on Indra at some point of time before her marriage, but then married to Gautama. And she has been living in a hermitage for a long time. So Indra also had an eye for Ahalya. So one day Indra came as a cock like a, and then it did the cock a doodle do in the morning, right? So, cock-a-roco, that. So it is like alarm clock, nature's alarm clock. And then it's too early, but then Gautama woke up and he went away to the river to take his morning ablutions. So when he went away, then he disguised as Gautama and came in and tried to seduce Ahalya. And Ahalya knowingly got seduced. So she said, okay, I have a crush on you, and now you came in the form, I'm okay with it. But immediately Gautama came back and cursed both of them. He told Ahalya that you will be covered on ashes for a very long time doing penance. And for Indra, he gave another shapa. So it went away. This story has been narrated with different factual variations. So some people said that Ahalya was innocent, Gautama was a chauvinist, so he cursed his wife. And they said it's all Indra's guilt and all that stuff. And you find Indra doing these type of bad things. So how can a god be doing all these kind of bad things? How can you call him a god if he is doing that? So there is a deep lesson here. So let's start with the words. Indra. Does it ring any bells with any of the things that we learned? The word Indra. Yeah?
Indriya.
Indriya. Indra and Indriya, they're very close words, right?
What does the suffix dra mean in Sanskrit?
The word came in a very interesting way. In Aitareya Upanishad, they talk about that. So the all-pervading consciousness, when it entered the body, it looked at itself. I said it is all-pervading consciousness, nice? Consciousness is there everywhere. But once it enters into the body, its mode of looking is completely changed. It started to look at itself as green color, red color, white, like that. It starts to looking at itself as square, circle, mountain, all these things. It starts to find itself as soft and hard. It is sensing its own self, but because it has entrapped into this body, it has to go through the Indriyas. These Indriyas are the ones that are enabling you to sense yourself through this. So therefore, the one that entered this said, Idam drashtam. That means this has been seen now. And that Idam drashta became Idandra, eventually became Indra. That's how the word came. But that's a very deep concept. We'll go to that later. But Indra and Indriya, they connect together. So one meaning of Indra is the power of Indriyas, the power of senses. So the power of senses can seduce somebody when? Now let's go back to Gautama and let's look at Ahalya. So first let's look at Ahalya. We talked about the word halam. Do you remember halam? What does it mean? The plow, right? You remember that how Mother Sita came up?
Yeah.
They took a plow and they're plowing the field, and then she was lifted by the plow edge or the plow tip. So that is called halam. Halam means something that breaks the ground, something that cultivates. Halyam means it is cultivatable or cultivable or cultivated. Ahalya means opposite of that, uncultivated. So there is an uncultivated field. But why am I calling Ahalya as field? You have to look at the husband's name. What is his name? Gautama. So the word go has lots of meanings. One meaning of go is Vedam. One meaning of go is earth, field, sun rays, like that. It has so many meanings. So Gautama is the landowner, one who has the field. The best field owner is Gautama. So Tama means highest, superlative degree. You might have heard the word Ut, Uttara, Uttama. Right? Ut means higher. Tara is comparative degree. Uttara, better. Uttama is the best. So high, higher, highest. So like that, Gautama means one who has the best field. But alas, what is the problem here? there is a region that is not cultivated. When it is not cultivated, what happens? It gets seduced by
Indra.
power of Indriyas. They have great distractive power, right? So that's why Indra, representing the power of Indriyas, is not the weakness of Indriyas. A lot of people say, I have a weakness for vision. I have a weakness for my tongue. I cannot stop myself when sweets are there. Some people say, I have a weakness for my taste, right? But it's not a weakness. It is the strength with which it actually destroys us. So therefore, what did Gautama say that Ahalya should do? She should do tapasya. Tapa. We talked about tapasya. What is tapasya? One meaning of tapasya is
Deep contemplation.
deep contemplation, and another meaning is that you subject yourself to restriction of enjoyments. If you restrict the enjoyments, then it allows time for you to contemplate. If we can't restrict enjoyments, what happens? Indra will come constantly steal our intellect. Indra will come constantly take away our wisdom. So we're constantly losing. But if we restrict our sense enjoyments, sense pleasures, etc., it gives us more room, more strength to contemplate deeper and to cultivate our mindset. And there is actually another deeper meaning also. This Ahalya story was narrated to Rama just before he was about to see Sita. Okay, in Veda there is one mantra that says for Indra, Gauravas-kandin Ahalyayai Jara. So I don't go into the total meaning of this, but simple meaning is Gauhu Avaskandin, means one who makes the bulls useless or break the bulls. It has become a Jara for Ahalya. Jara means somebody like, pimp. Pimp is somebody, who does bad things, right? Who makes everybody's strength go away. So that's how it is translated, but actually the meaning is much deeper. Let us say I have been talking for how long now? Maybe 10 minutes?
20,
20 minutes?
23 minutes.
Even 20 minutes I have been talking, but you are all absorbing the meaning of it, right? But the moment I utter a word, it rolled and disappeared. The word is not there. Sometimes people talk long sentences.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have seen long sentences. Some people, when you hear a long sentence, by the time you got to the end of the sentence, you forgot what they said in the beginning. That happens, right? Sometimes does it happen to you? Like sometimes when you read books, these old writers, they write very long sentences. You start reading the sentence and there are so many phrases and clauses, and you come to the end, you forgot what did they say in the beginning. You have to go back and read it again, right? It happens. Why does that happen?
Working memory.
Yeah, we are unable to capture everything that is said. But in reality, how are the words coming? They're rolling. The first word has gone by the time I spoke the second one. First sentence has gone by the time I spoke the second sentence. First story is gone by the time I came into the second story. But you're all capturing it. How? Because you have developed a great working memory, right? And that working memory is something that you have cultivated over a long period of time. When you go and sit in SAT exam, they give very long questions, and then you forgot what they said in the beginning. And last thing is they said, which one of these following things show the idea of this person or opposite of the idea of this person? Like that, they have a very complicated question. So you need to cultivate that. And that is called Gauravas-kandin. I said go has lots of meanings. Word is one meaning. Speech is one meaning. The speech is coming constantly rolling, constantly disappearing. But how do you capture the whole meaning? Unless you cultivate yourself to capture the comprehensive meaning of that sentence, right? In the same way, Vedas spoke about so many things. A lot of teachings speak about so many things. And it is easy to forget one that happened in class 1. Now we are in class 12. Whatever we taught in class 1 is forgotten. Now we came to class 12, then we're confused because we don't remember that. So this is important. You have to cultivate your mind to develop a comprehensive understanding. You have to really work hard to cultivate that aspect of the mind so that you capture the essence of the words. In the same way, you have to cultivate it without losing its vital energy. It should not drain out vital energy. So field cultivation is so important. If it is not cultivated properly, even the best owner of the land, if a small part is uncultivated, it will succumb to the power of Indriyas and it will lose its ability. You have a quick question?
Nothing. I'll ask it in the. Or why not just use like an extension of your brain? Like you have another notebook, keypad, or some sort of a recording device, and you just use it as an extension of your mind so that you can forget it and then you can look it up and then remember it very easily.
Yeah. So you're telling have a mind map, right?
No.
Or maybe a little notebook.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you don't have a notebook, what happens? How do you do it? You are preparing for SAT exam. All these questions are very complex, very long. How will you do it? Like anybody encountered this problem?
Of course, mind map is the answer.
Mind map. You have to have a mental organization. Like I'll tell you,
That's not something that comes like that. You have to cultivate it.
you have to
Like-
cultivate it.
Yeah.
Have you gone to a cinema movie theater? So huge parking lot, right? A movie theater in a big mall there. So you parked the car somewhere. You went in there, did some other stuff, and you came out and scratching your head. Where is the parked car? What happened there? You missed a mind map of where things are. But if you have to go into your room, the power is gone, it's dark, would you be able to go to a desk where you keep your books?
Yes.
You can. Why?
Because you have been there.
You have a mental map. So use that. Develop a mental map. Mental map is very important to develop ideas. Like if there are a flow of ideas, you have to have a mental map of those ideas. And that's the reason why they're told in a story format. Because if you tell in a story format, you have a better mental map, you can remember things very well. Right? So if you create a mental map that, okay, if I am having a negative mood, there is a hole in my head through which all my vital energy is leaking and flowing away. If you have a mental map like that, what happens? Or if you have the story of Uttanka, you will remember that well, right? So that's why stories are told. So we have to understand the stories properly. Okay, so field and cultivation of the field. What is there in this field anyway? I mentioned in the beginning, what are all there in this field?
Activities.
All your activities,
Everything you learn.
everything you learn is part of the field, yes.
It's not what we learned, it's the quality of our learning that is stored in the field, is what I think.
That becomes part of the field. Like for example, if we have been doing lots of good activities, lots and lots of good activities, and Krishna said that there is the phala also, karma phala, the end results, they all have become part of that field. So
I would say not activities, I would say abilities, maybe.
activities are there in the field, but how do the activities leave their ability? Like for example, if you go to these hills, recently there was a big fire and the entire hill was burned away. Then next rains came. What happened?
Everything grew back.
Again, how did it grow back? It's all burnt down. How did it grow back?
It became so cultivatable after that.
It left the seeds and roots, everything. So in the same way, if we are doing one bad activity, let us say, we have one bad habit. This bad habit we are doing repeatedly, unknowingly, repeatedly, again and again. It leaves its roots, it leaves its seeds. And when you are not prepared, those weeds will grow up. So the quality of the field depends upon the activities that we do. If we do good activities, our field will slowly that is called cultivation. Our field will become better and better. If you are growing good habits, all good plants. You have mangoes, all good plants. They leave their seeds, they leave their roots, they leave everything underneath, and then it is a good cultivable plant. But if you let weeds thrive, it will become a very weedy, very poor field. So our field is our life. How do we seed our life is very important. How we cultivate our life is important. So how do we cultivate it? So number one, lots and lots of good habits. If you find a good habit, keep practicing it until it becomes
Nature.
in your nature. So you will not act in opposite way. You will always naturally act in a good way. You will always act kindly. You will always act decisively. You will always act confidently. You will always speak clearly. Like that, develop these good habits. For example, when you go to the SAT exam again, I'm coming to the SAT. These are big, long questions. By practicing, by going to a coaching center for 3 months, 2 months, you will not be able to do anything better because it really tests what your real quality is. And how do you get that real quality? We talked last time. Rubber meets the road. This is when things are boring, but you're still making effort. You're still doing it, so that you're making improvement. So your level increases. By practice, you can have a little bit of a increment, improved performance, but that doesn't help. Just a short-term practice. You have to have a long-term practice. You have to cultivate habits, good habits.
Would 2 to 3 months be considered long term or short term?
2 to 3 months will set in a habit. It will only set in a habit. The actual strengthening takes years.
Psychologists say you should practice something 64 times in 12 periods or 12 times in 64 periods to for that activity or skill to become your second nature.
So they're all different ideas, right? So, but what is the basic idea of all these things? Good habit means first you have to develop a habit. Means you initially practice it. Do it again, some 12 times or 21 times, whatever that. And then it becomes an automatic habit. Then you continue it. Then you do it. So then it will become part of your field and the quality of the field will increase. And you will stop the drainage of that. So
So we talk about good and bad habits, and is it all linked to desire? Even to cultivate the habit, unless and until I have a desire for that thing, it is not going to be a continuous process. I may force myself to do that for so many number of times, but then there is always a chance of dropping it unless it is tied to a certain desire in me. Like for example, if I take brush the teeth, I never ask myself, do I have a desire to brush the teeth? So that is the reason it has becoming so natural to me that I never question the desire.
exactly.
Right? But if I ask myself, do I have a desire to sometimes miss taking a bath? You will feel people don't take a bath, right? Because they don't have they have the desire that they don't have a desire to take bath every day. So to me, it seems like having desire is the root, is that root thing which is allowing us to get into that habit. Whether it is a good habit or a bad habit is a second step. But how a habit is formed, it seems it is tied to a desire.
Yeah, that's right. Initially, so we have something called a reward loop. Have you heard about that reward loop? So yeah, there is a reward system. That means when we do a good job or good habit, when we practice it once, we reward ourselves with a small tiny reward. And when you do that, it strengthens what we call a reward system within us. So when you have that reward system, it is basically setting a neurotransmitter to make you do it again, one more time. But eventually it has to reach to a state where you are not looking for reward anymore.
Right.
So next time we're going to start, we're going to start the Ksheerasagara Madhanam story. Anybody remember Ksheerasagara Madhanam where Devas were standing with respect to the serpent?
Yeah, on the
Tail end.
So
Why are they standing at the tail end? The Asuras said, no, we won't touch the tail, that is dirty, nasty. We are great people, we do a lot of sadhana practice, spiritual practices. We're going to only hold the head side.
But by holding the head, that's even more dirtier than the tail, or actually poisonous.
Yeah, you can think of it that way. But holding on to the tail side is a very symbolic thing. That means you are letting go of that reward. You are willing to and you are ready to let go of the reward. But until you develop the practice, you have to hold on to something. But devas should always hold on the side where there is no interest of rewards. And then it will develop into a good habit, a sustainable habit. Otherwise, it creates a reward loop, but when the reward is missing, it either becomes an obsession or you will completely give it away. Right? So we'll stop here and then we'll take some question and answers. So please say this after me. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu.
Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu.
Om Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu.
Om Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu.
Om Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu.
Om Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu.
Om Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu.
Om Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu.
Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.
Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.
Om Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Smadgurubhyo Namaha.